Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV. Well, this is the Man City versus Brighton pre-match preview with an opposition fan channel. So what I'd like to do is say a massive thank you to Scott, who sent me some questions, and he's from We Are Brighton. So don't forget, go over and check out their channel. So the email's just come through, so I thought I'd quickly do it tonight because it's, as you know, I'm here. I've got full-on schedule. I'm trying to fit all this in while Ray's away, sort of working all day, and been up since 1:30, till 1:30 in the morning, and getting up at 5:30. So I'm absolutely knackered. So anyway, questions have just come through, so let's answer them. So the first question we've got is, what do Man City need to do differently to get the big trophy that keeps eluding them and is put the Champions League? Well, it depends on what you class as big, which is the biggest trophy, I guess. For me, and this is an absolute honest answer, and I've said it all along, for me the biggest trophy is the Premier League. It's that simple. And some clubs will say the Champions League is the biggest, and that proves that you're the best in Europe and all of these types of things. For me, and I've said it over and over again, the Champions League is a cup competition, and you need so many things to go your way to win it. One, obviously, you need a very good team. You need a good draw in the group stage. We've got that. And you need luck on the way. You need injuries to not happen at certain points in the season when the Champions League comes around, or the group stages, or the last sort of 16. You also need decisions on the day over two legs. And I've said it before, you look at the Liverpool game, and I'm not just saying this, Liverpool were the better team. There's no doubt about it. I think Liverpool deserved to beat City over two legs. However, there were big moments in both games that went their way, and certainly didn't go ours. Goals we scored that were given offside goals they got, that were given. And this is what happens in competition football. You need to be on your game on that given day. You need to have no injuries. You need to have your strongest team, ideally, and you need, a little bit of luck as well. So for me, it's the Premier League. That is what provides us with who is the most consistent team over 38 games. Last season, it was us by destroying, basically making a mockery of the Premier League last year with all the records and everything we broke. But if what do we need to do differently? It's hard to say. It really is. Let me think. How am I going to answer this? Because I want to try and give you an answer, Scott. I would say be at it 100% and be defensively sound. That'll be the starting point. Be very, very defensively sound. I think on occasions, certainly against Liverpool, we're a bit naive. The lineup, the formation has got to be right every game. And that's why what Real Madrid have done over the last few seasons has been an incredible achievement, really has. So that's my answer. I'm sorry if it's not answered it how you wanted me to answer it, but Premier League for me. Champions League is a cup competition. Now, if we win the Premier League back to back, and we continue to win Premier Leagues over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, then maybe the focus will shift. Maybe fans like myself, older fans, will start looking at the Champions League in a different light, and maybe think, this now we've got back to back. Now we've had 5, 6, 7 Premier League titles in the last 10, 12, 14 years. It's time now that we focus solely on the Champions League. So, but to do differently, a lot of luck, and I think the team needs to be defensively very, very good. So that's my answer to you, Scott.
Hello from sunny Brighton, where, as you can see, it might be nearly October, we can still sit out in the garden in the sunshine, which is quite bizarre. My name's Scott. I write for a website called wearebrighton.com, and Andy's invited me on to Man City Fan TV to talk about the Albion's upcoming trip to the Etihad Stadium, where I'm fully expecting us to get comprehensively smashed.
So my first question back to you, Scott, is Chris Hughton has done a great job for you guys, and how long do you think you're going to be able to hold on to him?
Houghton's done an unbelievable job since he was appointed. When he arrived, we were staring relegation to League One in the face after 3 months of absolute garbage under Sammy Hippier. He came in and steadied the ship. It wasn't spectacular. We got results where we needed to get results, and we basically survived because there were 3 worst teams in the division. There was a period where we didn't score for 6 games in a row, and that led to a lot of people questioning whether Houghton was the right man to take the club forward once we'd survived. He dispelled any of those questions the next season, rebuilt the squad, and turned us from a side that was heading for League One to a side that was 2 goals away from automatic promotion to the Premier League. We were pipped to the post by Middlesbrough, and then obviously suffered a traditional playoff heartbreak. A lot of teams would have suffered with a hangover after that and struggled the next year, but Houghton, regrouped the players, bought a few new signings in, and we went even better the next year and finished runners up to Newcastle when we really should have won the league, because we were 7 points clear of 3 games to go, needed 1 win from the last 3 and picked up a solitary point. We're actually leading on the final day right up until the 88th minute against Aston Villa, when David Stockdale decided to let a ball through his legs to basically hand Newcastle the title. We weren't really bothered about winning the league, to be honest, because promotion was the job that needed to be done, and that was done. Following season, obviously, I think any new team coming into the Premier League, the aim of the game is just to survive, and we managed that. When it comes to Houghton moving on, I think he knows what he's got at Brighton, and that's a supportive owner who's going to back him all the way, and somebody who's not going to have knee-jerk reactions. He's been let down in the past, sacked harshly by Newcastle, sacked harshly at Norwich. That won't happen at Brighton, because even if we went down, the club would recognise he's the best man to bring us back up again. So he's got stability that you won't find in many other football clubs, and I think he's a sensible man. He knows that, and he for that reason he wouldn't leave Brighton. The only thing that might tempt him away is if a top 6 job came along, but an English manager in his 50s isn't really what a big English club are looking for. The only one that might is Spurs. That's purely because of the old boy connection. He used to play for Spurs, but I can't see him getting a top job. And why would he move to an Everton or a Southampton, clubs that we would consider on a similar level to us if we're established in the Premier League, when he knows that he's got not a job for life, but a job for the next 3-4 years, unless something goes drastically wrong at the Amex. I don't think he would leave.
So your next question then was, where do you think City would be right now without their Abu Dhabi owners? Well, it's an owner, Sheikh Mansour. Where would we be? Probably where we were before, if I'm honest. Though you would imagine in this day and age, with owners investing heavily in Premier League teams. I mean, we've seen it. You only have to look at Arsenal. You only have to look at the Glazers with Man United. You only have to look at Chelsea with Abramovich, and the possibility of them being sold on. You only have to look at Henry with Liverpool. You only have to look at Spurs and other teams, and the likes of Wolves even, spending that much money. So I do believe with our fan base that if Sheikh Mansour didn't buy us, then we would already have another owner, whether nowhere near what Sheikh Mansour's done for us, but we would definitely have had investment of sorts. Whether it would be anywhere like what we've had, I very much doubt it. So we'd possibly be one of those clubs in the sort of top 6, top 8. But don't forget, prior to Sheikh Mansour coming in, we had Thaksin Shinawatra, who invested quite heavily, a lot of money. Who knows? Yes, we know we are lucky. We know we have a fantastic owner that's not only invested in the club, but that's one thing. And there's many of those in the Premier League. But what he's done, investing in the campus, what he's done with the stadium, what he's done in the surrounding community has been absolutely phenomenal. That other teams' owners they don't do it. So we're very, very blessed that our owner does have an affiliation with the community as well, not just the club, players, campus, etc, etc. So my next question to you, Scott, then. You're in the Premier League. You are doing all right. You're doing okay under Chris Hughton. This season, is there any particular away ground that you're really excited to go and visit? And who is it?
The obvious answer to that one is Spurs, but seeing as the new stadium's taking longer to build than John Prescott would to run a marathon, chances are we're probably going to Wembley. I mean, we don't play them until April, but it's not looking too promising, is it? So, other than the new ground factor, I mean, we've been to everywhere else in the Premier League, but I think a lot of Brighton fans would actually select the Etihad, because we played during a Wednesday night last year, end of season, so it was an absolute nightmare for a lot of supporters to get to. I speak from personal experience because I got the National Express coach up, but then was too drunk to be allowed on it back home, so had to sleep in Manchester in the bus station till 5 AM. So I'm quite keen to avoid a repeat of that. And Manchester's always a good day out, as we found for our trips to United last year. Good pubs, good people. Just a shame that we're probably going to get absolutely destroyed by you, really.
So your third question to me is, do you think Phil Foden will get the opportunity to break through at Manchester City, and just how good could he be? Okay, Phil Foden debate. And I've said this on numerous forums, and I also said it on a podcast I did the other night, and I also said it in the post-match post-match video I did against Cardiff. Now, one thing, Phil Foden has just turned 18 years of age in May. He's a kid. He's an absolute baby. He's got a long way to go. He's got lots and lots to learn. But if you saw what he did last night when he's been given the opportunity, albeit, and let's not forget this, albeit Oxford United, I thought he was wonderful last night. Set up a wonderful goal for Mahrez, and then we were all screaming for him to score because we were desperate. And then, finished a fantastic move that was, kept the ball for well over a minute, moving it around, moving the Oxford players all over the place, and he finished off a fantastic overall team performance move. And that's great. I mean, it's fantastic, but we have to be realistic. This kid is only a baby. He's got a lot of growing to do physically, and he's got a lot of footballing learning to do under Pep Guardiola. Now, he's got the best coach in world football. And Pep has kept him with the team this year and said he's not going out on loan, he's going to stay here and he's going to learn from the best, with the likes of David Silva, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan. All these players he can literally draw information and advice from. So that's his first stage in his career, his development of being a professional footballer. He is, as far as how good could he be, is an absolutely exceptional talent. The kid is seriously special. But you might say, well, then shouldn't he be in the team? My next point is, for who? Who's he going to replace? We've got Fernandinho in the midfield area, which is where he's going to predominantly play, or in an attacking role. We've got Fernandinho. He's not going to replace Fernandinho. We've got İlkay Gundogan, German international. He's not going to replace İlkay Gundogan. We have got Bernardo Silva, who's possibly been our best player this season. He's certainly not going to replace Bernardo Silva. And then you're looking at David Silva. Come on. Kevin De Bruyne's not even back. He's not going to replace Kevin De Bruyne when he comes back in a few weeks' time. If you want to push him wide, he's got to try and compete with Leroy Sané. Ain't going to happen. Young player of the year last year. You've got Raheem Sterling, no chance. Now you've got Mahrez. Are we going to pay 60 million for Mahrez and then suddenly just keep playing Foden in ahead of him in an unfamiliar role? No, it's not going to happen. So up front you've got Aguero and Gabi Jesus. So the Foden debate is one thing, and I just think that the media and certain media, individuals like Adrian Durham on TalkSport, talking utter garbage saying that he'd be disgusted if Foden wasn't playing, why he didn't come on against Leon and it's this. And I mean, Pep said when Phil Foden is ready, Phil Foden will get into the team. And he will get plenty of opportunities this season. He'll get loads of Carabao Cup, FA Cup games. He'll get loads of opportunities off the bench for Manchester City. He might even be on the bench for Champions League games and get opportunities. So, building him up slowly. Because you cannot just sort of turn around to the likes of David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan and these and say sorry, you're not in the squad today because I'm getting pressured to play Phil Foden. That doesn't work. It doesn't happen, and Pep's not stupid. So Phil Foden will get plenty of games this season, and he is going to be a phenomenal player, not only for City, I believe for England in the future. So I was surprised when Southgate didn't at least take him along in the recent internationals, maybe not to play him, but just put him around, some of the other England internationals, have a look at him on the training pitch and just try and judge where he is. So I think it was a bit of a wasted opportunity. Not to at least take him and see him in training. So yeah, he's going to be a very, very, very special player, not only for Manchester City, but I think in the future, another 3 years for England as well. So my next question to you, Scott, is if you could take one Manchester City player, who would it be and why?
I suspect the most popular answer to this question is Kevin De Bruyne, but for me it would be Sergio Aguero. We're in the frankly ridiculous position of being reliant on all our goals coming from a bloke who's just turned 35 and could therefore qualify for vets football. As good as Glenn Murray is, it's absolutely shocking really that a guy of his age is our main goal scorer, and that's not taking away anything from how good he is, because he's probably our best player, certainly one of our most popular players, which is remarkable when you consider the fact that he spent 3 seasons with our arch rivals Crystal Palace and fired them to promotion. But Murray's not going to be able to carry on forever, and we've tried replacing him on several occasions. We've brought in Jurgen Locadia for 16 million. He couldn't hit the proverbial carries posterior with a string instrument. We've also signed Florian Andone, who no one's seen hide or hair of because he's been injured. Leonardo Ajao returned on loan from Leicester last season, but couldn't displace Murray from the team because of Murray's goal scoring antics. So we really need a proven goal scorer at some point to take the burden off Murray and replace him, because he's not going to be able to carry on forever. So if you're listening, Pep, and you don't fancy Aguero anymore, as we seem to read quite often in the papers, send him our way.
Your next question 4, it says, do you have any particularly fond memories of games with Brighton? What about that evening you were knocked out the Carling Cup by a struggling League One side at Withdean Stadium, perhaps? Fond memories? I don't think any of those are fond memories, so I mean that's a bit difficult for me to answer. Nothing really sort of stands out. I mean, that was one of many sort of games in Carling Cup games and League Cup games and FA Cup games where we've been beaten by the likes of Wigan, etc. So no particular fond memories against Brighton. Nothing sort of majorly stands out. The only one I would say is of May of this year, City, we beat you 3-1 at home, and we'd only just recently, a couple of weeks earlier, set up Man City Fan TV. So that was one of our first games at home. Because the very nature of when it was, we had a couple of games at the end of the season that we could go to and sort of practice and see how it was like and what it was going to feel like. And that game we won 3-1. It was sort of one of our first ones where we started interviewing fans outside the ground. So fond memories, I suppose that's my fondest memory of a Brighton game. Other than that, no, not really, I'm afraid. So my next question to you then is, who is your danger man at the weekend? Who is somebody that you believe we need to be very careful of?
Our danger men at home is a very different to our danger men away from home. If we were playing at the Amex, you'd highlight the likes of Anthony Knockaert, Pascal Gross if he's fit, because at home we'll at least try and get on the front foot and play attacking football and try and create opportunities to score goals. Away from home, especially against the top 6, it's very, very much 10 men behind the ball. I'd be very surprised if anyone ventures into City's half other than Glenn Murray, who will be given the thankless task of just, being told, here you go, Glenn, hold the ball up, support will be with you in about 2 hours' time. Because of the way we play away from home, it's vital that the defence is at its best, and it hasn't been this season, to be honest. We've conceded 2 goals in every game. Lewis Dunk appears to have been rushed back from injury sooner than he should have been, because he hasn't looked fit. He's made a couple of mistakes in the last couple of games, which is unlike him because he's been superb since we've been promoted. So our key men at the Etihad will probably be Shane Duffy, who just seems to be getting better and better, and becoming one of the most popular players we've had in some time. If he can have a good game, keep your front players quiet, which I don't think he will be able to, then we might have a chance of keeping it respectable.
Okay, and your second to last question is, what do you think a team like Brighton needs to do to establish themselves in the Premier League? I think, as we've seen by the likes of Bournemouth and the likes of Southampton and Burnley in particular, I think you need to be fairly solid at the back. Don't give away too many goals. Don't get beat by too many goals. And sometimes you need to be brave. Certainly when you're at home, is have a real go at teams. And we've seen what Derby did to Man United. Completely dominated them at Old Trafford. And I know it was a cup game, but still, that type of attitude we saw from Burnley last year, where they went away and they had a go. And did really well, and look where they finished up. So obviously, you go back to any team, money investment, buying players, all of those types of things. I think you've got a great manager in Chris Hughton. So I think you've got the right man in charge. Keeping him will be an absolute priority, and I believe if you do keep him, you could be quite easily established in the Premier League for the next, however many years. So I would say be very solid, frustrate the big teams, and also don't be afraid when you play the big teams at home. Have a good go at them, because it only needs a little bit of complacency or the wrong attitude, and teams like yourself and those who have just come up into the Premier League can take points off you. I mean, we've seen what happened with against Wolves with us earlier on in the season. They had a right go at us, and they got a lucky goal, but which should have been handball. But they were brilliant on the day. They were really, really good. So that would be my advice. Be solid at the back, and when you're at home, just have a go for it, and see what happens. But like I said, I think your priority is keeping your manager. You keep him, I think you've got a really, really good chance of being the next sort of Burnley or potentially Bournemouth and staying in the Premier League. And any investment that comes in is always going to be useful in the future. So my final question to you is, weekend score prediction. What are your thoughts?
Well, I can safely say it's going to be a Man City win. It's difficult to know exactly what's going to happen, though, because there isn't much to go on from last season. I mean, we played you first game of the season when you were settling in a lot of new players. Guardiola was still playing free at the back, so that was before you became the dominant force that you were. Then when we met in the away game, it was obviously the penultimate game of the season was over, you had wrapped up the title, we were safe, we weren't taking it particularly seriously. So we've never met each other when both teams have got something to play for and are going full throttle. With that in mind, the fact that you destroyed Cardiff on their own patch is particularly worrying. So I can't see us scoring a goal, because we've only scored 12 away goals since we've been promoted to the Premier League in 23 games, I think that is now. So it's definitely going to be a clean sheet for Ederson and Co at the back. But defensive-wise, if we can get back to some of the way we were defending last year against the top six, I mean, apart from our defeat to Liverpool, we never lost by more than 2 goals against the big sides. So I'll go for a respectable 3-0, I think. 3-0 City.
And your final question to me is, what do I think the score's going to be? I'm a bit garbage at this. Actually, I wasn't too bad at the weekend. I said 5-1 and it was 5-0. Previously, I'd said 2-1 against Huddersfield and we ended up winning 6-1. I'd said 1-0 Wolves we would win, and we drew. So I'm not that great, if I'm honest. But I don't know. I will go for a good, solid defensive display, and I'll go for 3-0 Man City. That'll be my score prediction. I think it'll be a tough game. I say it every week because every game I always think is going to be tough. It's that typical City that has been with me forever. So I don't think it'll ever go away. So, but I think this weekend, with lots of players being rested last night, I think the likes of Sane, Aguero, etc. David Silva was taken off early. I think we'll have a pretty strong team with the likes of Walker back and the like. So Bernardo Silva as well. So I'm hopeful that there'll be another sort of 3-0, 3-1, but I'll go for 3-0 Man City. Anyway, guys, listen, I want to say a massive thank you to Scott from We Are Brighton for doing this. They don't normally do YouTube stuff, but we've been pushing to try and get somebody to do it, and the messages we sent to some of the YouTubers, just no replies back for them. So Scott writes articles for We Are Brighton, and he's going to do a piece in the article, sent me through a big long list of questions about Man City, which I answered earlier, and I just asked him if he'd return the favour, and he kindly did. So like I said, Scott normally don't do this, so it's a massive big thank you from us at Man City Fan TV, Scott, for doing it, because the fans love it, and we didn't get one for the Oxford game, which was a real surprise, but that's just the way it is. But anyway, go over and I don't know, have a look, have a read through their website. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV. We'll be at the game at the weekend, so please don't forget, subscribe, click notification, comment below the video. We'll see you soon.